and we had just eaten some dinner, and the waitress came up and said, "You have to get out of here. The sirens are going off. Go to the aquarium." And I'm like, "Well, can I pay you first?" "Nope, we're closing down. Get on out." I'm like, "Thank you, got a free dinner."
You were in the aquarium while the storm was going on?
Well, they wouldn't let us in the aquarium. We were in the hallway of the aquarium. Oh, well, we took Amit. I'd like to introduce to you Amit Chowdhury, who is one of Larry's very best friends in the whole world. He's from Chicago, Illinois. Stand up, and let's give him a hand. Thanks for being here. And so we took him down to Union Station to see the light show, and there was a wedding and 2 other conventions, so we never got to see the light show, but we got a free dinner. So,
well, there you have it.
Well, there you have it.
Now you're up to date.
And Skip and Pam are back from Mexico. Skip and Pam, yay!
Yay.
Glad you're here.
Highways are harrowing.
Oh, don't say that.
American semis are bad.
Oh, yeah.
Fly next time.
All right.
Okay. Anything else I need to know?
I think we need to do the prayer.
Okay. The Center for Spiritual Liberty is a place where we honor all life as being divine. We awaken to our magnificence. We understand that power and presence of Spirit is our very life, and that we're always guided to greater good as long as we believe we're guided to greater good. We honor all paths to God, and we believe in having fun and loving in action.
Great.
And this is Reverend Larry DeRusha. My name is Reverend Mary Jean DeRusha. And today we have for our music Brian Clark.
Hey, he's finally back.
Yes.
Yay.
Glad you're back. The opening prayer by Deborah. Debbie, come on up, do the opening prayer.
There you are.
Surprise.
I didn't know.
Surprise. You do good prayers.
Okay, so can we have the lights go down a bit? Okay. So let's take a deep breath. Let's center ourselves here in this present moment. Let go of everything you were thinking about when you came in here, and just bring yourself right here, right now, to this present moment. Let yourself just feel the love of God that lives in your heart. We know that love is always there, and we can always turn to it anytime. So let's turn to it now. Feel the love of God flowing in your heart. Because we know that God is all there is. We know that we live and we move and we have our being in the presence of God. Let's recognize that right now. Let's remember who we are. We are beings of light, children of God, living in the love and light of God right now. And we know that God is peace. Often we struggle with having peace in our lives. So I invite you now to just let go of whatever concerns, whatever fears you might have in your life, and let yourself, even just for a few minutes, feel the peace of God that lives in your heart. Because we know that God's peace is underlying everything. It's always there. But we have to make a choice to turn to that peace. So let's choose right now to turn within and let go of outside stuff. Turn within to the truth and reality and the peace of God. Because the peace of God is what we are. We live and we move and we have our being in that peace. We live and we move and we have our being in that love and light and joy and bliss. And as we turn within and we know that, we are healed right now. We begin the healing process as we turn within to God within us. And we choose to do that right now. We let that healing light shine forth. And we know that Jesus told us, "My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you." We know that deep within us is peace. So right now I'm knowing for each one of us that we are living in the peace and the love of God. That peace and that love is our truth right now. And as we know that, we bring it forth. We accept it, and we are grateful for it. because we know that as we turn within to God, we are healed. And I know for each one of us right now that we are healed of anything that may look discordant in our lives, anything that looks like it's not the truth of God. We let go of that. We let go of that and we feel the peace and wholeness of God that we are within right now. And I know for each one of us here in this chapel, for everyone listening online, and for everyone around this world, that the truth of God is what we are, the peace of God is what we are, and we live and we move and we have our being in the love and the light and the wholeness of God. That is true of each one of us right now. And I accept that for each one of us right now. I'm grateful for that right now, God. And so, God, in gratefulness and thanksgiving, I turn everything over to you. And so we say together, and so it is.
I'd like to welcome our musician this morning. We haven't seen you in a while. It's so good to see you. Brian Clark. Let's give him a Missouri gratitude.
Thank you, Deborah, for that really beautiful, thundering prayer. Very nice. Today, the congregational song is a really beautiful song by David Pomerantz called It's in Every One of Us. And I trust you're familiar with that.
Let's stand.
Yes. Stand. Are we ready? It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. But it's in every one of us. I just remembered it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing's better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and I'm watching only half of the show. There is scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good that it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. Woo. Very good. Should I?
The thought for the day is, right there it is. Khalil Gibran. How many of you read The Prophet or some of the books by Khalil Gibran? His nephew was the minister at the Center for Spiritual Living here in St. Louis when I first started coming in the 1970s, like 1971. And the lights went down and he had this booming voice, and I immediately fell asleep. And I would go out and get the Science Mind magazine and read it every day. And then a year later, he left because everybody said he had just enough talks for 1 year. And then he went somewhere else, but he was amazing. So whenever I see a quote by him, I remember my first year here at the Center for Spiritual Living when we met in Clayton at the Masonic Temple. So we've come a long way. So let's just recognize the words of Kahlil Gibran. The chemist who can extract from his heart's elements compassion, respect, longing, patience, regret, surprise, and forgiveness, and compound them into one, can create that atom which is called love. Isn't that good? Why don't let's say it together, okay? The chemist who can extract from his heart's element compassion, respect, longing, patience, regret, surprise, and forgiveness, and compound them into one, can create that atom which is called love. And so it is.
So it is. Wow. I have 3 songs today, and they're all original songs, but you'll pick them up really quick. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, try that again. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. I woke up this morning at the crack of noon, zigzag my way across the living room. With a haze of coffee, I gazed out upon the scene, and I asked myself, is this my life or is it just the way it seemed? And the more I thought about the circumstance, the worse it seemed to be. And I was bouncing like a beach ball on a beach of broken dreams. And looking in the mirror, a voice inside me said, you got to get your hands around those thoughts inside your head. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. Well, I was knocking on my baby's door, and it was late one night. There were voices in the darkness, something wasn't right. Through a crack in the door, she says, won't you just go home, 'cause now is not a good time. And anyway, I'm not alone, and I backed away in silence, tears rolling down my face. I'm wondering, what did I do to end up in such a place? It's like endless mental torture. It's like a recurring broken dream. It's like a bowling ball of humiliation, knocking down my self-esteem. And as you believe, it will be done. As you believe. Those same situations coming time and time again. Do they seem to be a part of you, almost like your middle name? Well, you know you want to change it, but somehow it doesn't change. And you have water in your basement every time it rains. It's topical. Well, it's then we must decide which way we want to go. Back into the circle or dive into the flow of absolute perfection, where the winds of love blow. And I'm more than good enough. Say it till you know. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, done as you believe. Ready? As you believe, as you believe, it will be done. As you believe, as you believe, as you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe.
Thank you, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's everybody stand up. Get some exercise. Yeah, no, don't run around the room. So turn to your neighbor and say hi.
Hi, neighbor.
All right, come on back. Maddie, you can leave that quote up there. By the way, that picture is of Cahill back in his early teens. And it was posted along with a whole bunch of other pictures, and he doesn't look anything like that as he got older. So one of the great things about this statement is he starts off with one of Hart's elements that we're going to talk about today, which is compassion. So the topic, typically we get the topics for the day from home office, and the one today was loving, love in action. But before we get there, I just wanted to say that, you know, a doctor, this guy went to the doctor and he said, doctor, hey, can you help me? I'm addicted to Twitter. The doctor said, I can't, I'm not following you. I love bad jokes, they're funny. So we're talking about love and action. And love and action, and everything is love. Isn't everything love? Okay, then we're done. What's next? It's a quick talk. Well, today, love and action, I want to start with the fact that there's three components to love and action. The first one is the recognition of our oneness. That's the primary. Second is selfless service. And third is compassion. Ramana Maharshi, who was a great mystic and Satguru in India, he said, some like form, such as body, like a dog has a body, humans have bodies, horses have bodies, all these are simply forms. It's like a shirt that's worn over the oneness. I like that analogy because you take the shirt off, everybody is spirit. Everything is all interconnected in this amazing entangled web of the universe, which I'll digress for a second because I don't know how many of you saw that one of the great telescopes that was launched just a few years back returned some astonishing images of the universe, one of which is the earliest known galaxy. That galaxy was about 30 million years after what they call the Big Bang. And I won't go into the fact that the Big Bang is simply an anomaly. It's not the beginning of anything. So we can see that far back, and what they were amazed by was not just that one point. They were amazed by the fact that everywhere they looked, there were galaxies. The first pictures that they had, they were zoomed way out, and you could see stars, and you could see galaxies, but there was space in between. The further in they went, the more they found out that there's very little space. It's all dominated by trillions and trillions of galaxies. Is that amazing? You have trillions and trillions of cells in your body, just like the galaxies in the universe. Everything has to work in harmony, and that harmony is love. So when Ramana Maharshi says we take off that veil, we take off this body, what we're scared of in this life is we're scared of death. It's unusually strange that we're afraid of death, but that's how we're actually educated. That's how we're domesticated, if you will, into an understanding. It's completely false. What is true is you lose a body. What isn't true is that you die, because you were never born. You were never born and you never died. The body is born, the body dies. But you are the essence. You are the spirit. You are the oneness. That oneness is important to recognize, because that oneness, that connection that we all have, is actually one consciousness. One. There's nothing else. All this is like a great dream, if you will. That one consciousness, when we leave our body, it doesn't die. It doesn't go away. Nothing happens to it. Fear is the issue. And why is fear the issue? Because the reptilian brain has been programmed since prehistoric times to be afraid, so it could survive. It wanted to survive, and it has generated fears that didn't belong there. And if we knew, think about this for a second, if you knew that you would never die, would your life be led differently? Yeah, it would, because you wouldn't go around afraid of everything in the world. You would start becoming an adventurer. You'd start finding and exploring what life has to offer. And it would bring you back at some point, just like all the great physicists I've known and all the astronomers. It's not that we don't believe in God. It's we believe in something so beyond that term that we don't know how to explain it. But there must be a divine intelligence in the universe. There must be a divine intelligence. Just look at the universe itself and how it works and how things are kept in their place and what goes on. And you are an integral part of that. You've lived for millions of years. Whew. Think about that for a second. So when they say you were an infant, you were really an infant back then. So yeah, you're all tired now. It's just a million lives. You may have another million to go. Don't worry. You got a few more that you can work with. So this idea of oneness is important. It's so important that it's the primary teaching of every religion, theological school, every spiritual organization. I mean, everything boils down to that thread. Ernest Holmes said, "It is well to remember that the enlightened of every age have taught that back of all things is one unseen cause. In studying the teachings of the great thinkers, we find that a common thread runs through all. That thread is unity. There is no record of any deep thinker in any age who ever taught duality." That's a powerful statement. And Ernest was a reader. He read everything he could get his hands on. And he wanted to know what was the common thread of all great religions. Right there in that statement. There's one. Out of the one comes many. Many different forms. Consciousness inhabits billions of forms. So in this idea of oneness, there is something that Rupert Spira talks about. Rupert Spira is somebody I've followed for years. I won't go into the details of who he is, but he's an Advaita Vedanta teacher. And he says, think about this for a second, that when you go to sleep at night, you dream. And you have this dream. So let's say Mary goes to sleep in St. Louis and she has a dream. And she becomes Jane in the dream on the streets of Paris. Now when you're in the dream, you're fully cognizant of you're in that dream, you're participating. Not in one of the dreams where you're going observing the dream. That's lucid dreaming. But in this instance, you're in that dream fully enjoying the coffee, sitting there with the pastries on the street in Paris, right? And then you wake up and you go, well, it was just a dream. Was Jane an actual being? Jane was in the dream, but who was dreaming it? Mary. So from Mary's mind came Jane and the dream, yes? From God, God's mind, came this universe. What is it? God's dream. It's his mind. It's your mind. It's its mind. There is no difference. The power of the divine is so incredible that it's hard for us to even imagine these kinds of things. How could this possibly be a dream? It's very real. It was very real in your dream, wasn't it? In fact, sometimes we dream to the point we wake up and we go, was that really a dream? They're so powerful. We are all one. There's only one. So from that place comes this idea of compassion. From this place comes the idea of empathy. So the second point I want to get to is what's called selfless service. The law of the universe and of life is selflessness. This is why selfish and egoistic people are unable to wholeheartedly enjoy life and be happy, because their behavior is out of tune with the universe. That's from Amma, the hugging saint. Selfless service is so important, it's so powerful that it has become the teachings of many religions. In India, I was trying to think of Mother Teresa, right? She's the great example of this selfless service. Selfless service is a practice because when you begin to forget yourself and you begin to serve others, you begin to realize the connection that we have with everyone. When you understand that everything is all one, then selfless service becomes service to God. Yes? It must, if everything is all one. And selfless service, then, we're serving others in order to serve God, which is a path to awakening. It's one of the great paths. Amma, the hugging saint, talks about it. Ramana Maharshi talks about it. All the great saints talk about it. When you start getting depressed, get yourself out of bed and go somewhere in service of somebody else. Do something to help somebody else. Get out of your own way and allow yourself, that spirit of who you are, to start helping others, or helping animals, or helping, whatever that might be. Does that make sense? I mean, if we get out of our ego mind, we'll find there's something much greater. When you get out of the ego mind, you have within you that spirit which wants to come into the world. It wants the world to be in harmony. And you are an integral part of that. I always say it took 40 billion years for the universe to create you, so it could be aware of its own creation. And you're a part of that. So what are you doing for selfless service? That's a question. Keep asking yourself. So the first thing is there's only one. Second is selfless service. In 2009, in Texas, this grandmother with 3 kids and grandkids decided to go and do something adventurous. What she decided was to do something I don't think even I would do, which is jump out of an airplane with a parachute. She decided, I'm going skydiving. So she did all the preparations necessary. She's going to jump in tandem with her instructor, and they got up to 13,000 feet, and out they went. And then the red light went on in the instructor's head. The parachutes are tangled. They're falling 1,000 feet a second. I mean, they're falling at an enormous rate. He's trying to figure out what he can do, and he's trying to untangle things, and it's not working. And now he's like several seconds away from hitting the ground. And he goes, oh my God. And he says, just a second, to himself. And he rotates around her so that he's on the bottom. And they hit. They both survived. She survived with very little injury. And he was paralyzed the rest of his life. And she constantly contacts him. And she said, I would visit him and tears would come to my eyes. She said, because I can't understand. How can somebody have that much love for another? That's pretty amazing. Sacrifice. How often people who are ready to commit suicide, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco where we lived was famous for that. But it was interesting also that it's famous for the fact that those who were going to jump, cars would stop on the bridge and tangle up traffic so people could get out and go to that person to talk them away from doing that. Why? Because of our oneness. The universe needs you. That power of selfless service, that was an unbelievable act of selfless service. There are so many. And it's incumbent upon you. If you want to change the world, you can change yourself by selfless service. It'll change your life. Oneness, selfless service. The other part of love in action is compassion. One of the great teachers of compassion is Amma, the hugging saint. She travels the world. When she hugs, she imparts this spiritual power to you. But what you really get is the absolute, total, unconditional love and compassion that she has. And that gets imparted to you just from the hug. She travels the world hugging millions and millions of people. I know we were in Chicago, and the first time I saw her, and I think there were several thousand people at this event, she was there all night hugging. When we saw her in Iowa, when we saw her in New Mexico, when we saw her in India, Toronto, everywhere we went, thousands of people. In Los Angeles alone, there was 20,000 people. And those 20,000 people, probably 10 or 11 or 12,000 of those people wanted hugs. Every single one of them got a hug. She was up for like 20 hours, nonstop. Pure compassion, pure love, pure joy. One of the things that I loved about Ernest Holmes was he was such a happy guy. He said, I just love to barbecue out in the backyard. I just love having friends over to have these discussions about religions and philosophies. And his Tuesday night events that he had his Tuesday night invitation-only events where he would feed the people that came and they would sit around and have a conversation. Some of those conversations I'd love to have been, a fly on the wall because Einstein was there, Yogananda was there, politicians were there. You name it, they would show up because he would send out an invitation, and if it came from Ernest Holmes, you didn't refuse because you were going to have a great barbecue and a fun discussion. Yeah, and he was just always smiling, even if he was telling a difficult story. He had a smile on his face because he knew what the oneness was. He knew what the power within us. He wanted to let everybody know that. He said, there is a way for you to know. There are paths for you to follow that you can understand. Here in religious science, we teach very cerebrally at first all about that. But once you get through that, you start going deeper. You start going deeper. You begin to find out who you are. You ask the question, who am I? Am I this body? Am I this mind? Am I a soul? What am I? Who am I? Where did these thoughts come from? How did these thoughts get generated? All these amazing questions come up. And they're all taking you slowly back to your source. They're taking you back to that oneness. In that, there is absolute love. Yes? Let's see if there's anything else to talk about. I made lots of notes last night. I was really furious, but I can't read most of them. So in this compassion, one of the things I've heard from a number of people over the years is, what's the difference between empathy and compassion? How many of you have asked that question? Nobody. Okay, we'll skip that part. Empathy is my understanding and feeling what you're going through. Compassion is the same thing, but with action. So it's love and action. So I can feel what you're going through because I've gone through something similar to that. I can understand what you're going through because I know what the world is going through. But moving from empathy to compassion is a big step. And that step is, what's the action I can take that's going to make a difference? That's compassion. And there's a compassion network out there. I'm a member of the LinkedIn Compassion Group. I'm a member of the San Francisco Society of Compassionate Individuals. Compassion has always been a theme for me. It's always been important to me. It was my mother who instilled that in me. She was, for me, she was the walking example of compassion. She never passed anybody on the street that she didn't give some money to. And it wasn't about, she felt better about giving them money. It was, she said, their lives are more important than my life. Why wouldn't I give them some money? Those are some amazing teachings as a kid. She was the embodiment of love. Would you say that, Mary Jane?
Absolutely.
Everywhere she went, she had a smile on her face. She would talk to people. She would talk to strangers, like Mary Jane, talk to strangers in any line, anywhere, anytime. And she could start a conversation very easily. I love those shoes. My mother would stand in the line at the store, and somebody behind would have just a few groceries, and she'd say, whoa, aren't you getting bread or milk or something to start the conversation? Pretty soon she'd find out, I think I turned my mic off. Nope. Oh, speakers went out, okay. Maybe God doesn't want me to tell that story. She would ask, maybe it's my mother, maybe she would ask what was going on, and she'd find out that's all they could afford. So she would buy those groceries for them. Always thinking of other people. Always thinking of other people. Trying to help until she passed at 90 years old or 91 years old. She was always thinking of somebody else. The night before she passed, she called me. And she said she was having trouble speaking, and she says, I'm dying. And I said, well, how do you know this? She said, I talked to Jesus, and he says it's my time. And she said, I just wanted to be able to say goodbye and I'll see you again soon. She died the next morning, Christmas morning. She was the embodiment of what we're talking about for me. Talking about love in action, talking about selfless service, talking about there's only one. I'll leave you with this. My mother and I shared something very powerful. She had a death experience and I had a death experience. And one day we sat down and we compared death experiences. Not something you really think you're going to have a conversation about. We go, well, who did you meet on the other side? Well, guess who I met on the other side? She said, you know, when I passed, I met Jesus on the other side who was talking to me about what I needed to do when I got back. And I said, it's interesting. I just met this presence and it said, you have more to do, and sent me back. And we giggled about this, and we got into a space to where there was nothing but silence. Nothing but silence. It was more powerful than anything you could imagine. Because in that space, I could feel that oneness coming through. It was anybody, anywhere could be sitting in that space and feel that. So my question is, are you willing to open your heart? Are you willing to undefend your heart so that you too can be in selfless service? There are so many here that are already in selfless service, doing so much to change the world, to open themselves up, to be more than they thought they could be. Because you can. The heart is like a garden. Be careful what you're planting in that garden. If it's fear, that's what's going to grow. So what do you want to plant there? How about love? Would you like that? Yes. What a garden that would be, right? Thank you so much. Namaste.
Would our prosperity receivers please come forward? Thank you, Larry. Wasn't that fabulous? Yay. Thanks for coming back to Mexico all loved up. Whatever is your gift today, give it with love. Give it with an awareness that all is one. You can never outgive God. Giving is just a form of saying, yes, I trust the universe to give back to me. Because it's a check or it's automatic giving. I do automatic giving, but every once in a while I also like to do a check. Whatever it is, I give thanks right now. Close your eyes for a moment and just recognize that you are the power and presence of Spirit. And now I'm going to have you open your eyes and let's say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Joyfully I give, and gratefully I receive. And so it is. And now, Brian Clark.
Thank you, Larry. It's just so good to hear you speak again. There is no place God is. There is no place that God is. There is no place God is not. There is no color, there is no cloud, there is no empty room, no roaring crowd, no conversation, no situation, no confrontation, no broken vow. No, there is nothing, nowhere, no hidden spot. There is no place God is not. So here is your comfort, and here is your prayer. Here is your strength to move through whatever is there. And here is your joy in a moment of pain. Here is your sun in a droplet of rain. There is no color, there is no cloud, there is no empty room, no roaring crowd, no conversation, no situation, no confrontation, no mended vow. There is nothing, nowhere, no hidden spot. There is no place God is not. There is nothing, nowhere, no hidden spot. No, there's no place God is. No place God is. There is no place God is not.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. What a perfect song. That went perfectly with his talk, of course. Would our prayer team please come forward, surrounding this room in the power of the oneness. As Sherry Lease moves us into that temple within. Just take a deep breath. I know there's one power, one presence, one life, one divine energy, one consciousness, one wholeness, one. And I know right now that that oneness is my life and your life right now. We are not separate. It is all in the one. If there's anybody that you have been worried about or is on your mind or heart, and you would like to put them in this prayer, please call their name out right now. And call your own name out. For I know that that power and presence of Spirit right now awakens within every name that's been called that divine perfection. Whatever needs to be known is now known. Whatever needs to be done is now done. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. There's only a path of awakening. So I accept this awakening for each one of us. I accept that our journey is filled with that divine light. Our journey is filled with that love that we are. That healings take place right now. The wholeness of every name that's been spoken. the wholeness of everybody who's watching or listening. The wholeness of the divine is my life and your life. Bask in the love that you are. Bask in that compassion that you are. Open up to sacred service right now and every day. Allow yourselves to find places to be in service, to joyfully say yes to life. For there's something greater that's moving through each and every one of us. Just feel it. Feel that oneness. Feel the wholeness. Feel the perfection. And know right where you are is that power and presence of the divine. We may stumble, we may fall, we may get up. It's always the divine. It's always in perfect divine alignment and harmony. So I let go of any idea of how it has to be and allow Spirit to move it the way that is for the highest and greatest good for each and every one of us. That power, that presence, that life, that love. And I'm going to do something a little different this morning. I'm going to have the prayer team speak out loud their words of gratitude for the healings that are happening right now. There's a power. Say it with me. There's a power. There's a presence. Whatever your words are, say them out loud. Fill the room with the ministry of prayers, knowing that we're grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the healings that are taking place right now. I accept them. Know they are so. Blessing each and every one of us on this journey. I have a special blessing today for Skip Olson's dad. Knowing that every cell in his body is perfectly aligned with Spirit. Accepting this, accepting all of the miracles that are happening right now. I give thanks. And with a grateful heart, we say together, and so it is. Thank you.
I have one more simple little song that I think will go with Larry's message pretty well. I love my heart. Said I love my heart. My heart and me were a match made in heaven. I love my heart. My heart shows me where to go. My heart whispers what to do. Tugs at me gently when it's time for a change. And I love my heart. My heart says I never walk alone. My heart says I'm never far from home. My heart says courage and my heart says trust. My heart says, here I am, and my heart is like an open door. My heart wants to show me more. I can feel it pounding, I can feel it soar, and feeling it like I've never felt it before. And that's why I love my heart. I said, that's why I love my heart. My heart and me, we're a match made in heaven, and I love my heart. My heart and me, we're a match made in heaven, and I love my heart. I love my heart. I love my heart. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You've been fabulous today. I'm so glad you were here. Joni has a few announcements for us. I want to just start it off with letting you know that next week it is the Journey of the Awakened Heart, the Goddess Retreat. Reverend Dr. Luzette McDonald will be coming in. And actually, she does private sessions. And her private sessions cost the same as coming 3 days to the Women's Retreat. Actually, she has a big practice in California. I encourage you, this is going to be our last one we do in St. Louis. I encourage you to sign up in the bookstore. You can make payment plans, $50 down, and pay Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's next weekend. It's an amazing opportunity. So many people have been healed. One of the biggest healings that Luzette and her husband Robert did when they came to visit Larry and I one time, our grandson was allergic to eggs. He couldn't have anything with eggs in it, or his throat would tighten. He had red blotches if there was a speck of egg. They worked with him for about a half hour, came upstairs, and made him scrambled eggs. He has been fine ever since he was 9 years old. He finally could eat eggs. Things like that happen. If there's something on your mind, something that you would like to be healed, bring that to the Women's Retreat, and Luzette will work on it with you. So please sign up in the Rising Thought bookstore, because we do have to have manuals for everybody, and we want to make sure we have enough. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jean. Hi, my name's Joni. I've got the announcements today. If you know of a bookkeeper, we are looking for a bookkeeper for CSL. If you know QuickBooks online, please see Mary Jean for an employment application. This is a paid part-time position. So if this calls to you or someone you know, please let us know. We are having a congregational meeting on Sunday, April 30th, so please mark your calendars. It'll be right after service. We'll discuss the Darsha sabbatical and make some changes to the CSL bylaws. And Trivia Night is coming up. It's Friday, May 5th. The theme is the Roaring 20s. Please gather a group of friends to make a table of 8. Come and have a good time. It's $25 a person. You can sign up in the Rising Thought bookstore or online. And I think Harold has a message for us about Trivia Night.